What is going on, my family? Your boy Demetrius is back with another classic Tekken 8 video, and here in this video we are going to talk about Uncle Leroy Smith and his story direction when it comes to Tekken 8. And as y'all know, Leroy Smith is one of the characters that I do use in Tekken 7. He's my third character that I do use. I know I haven't been using him in a while, but I am still a proud, dedicated user of Uncle Leroy Smith. And even though people already know that I have constantly expressed my frustration when it comes to the Tekken 8 base roster, but on the other side of it, Uncle Leroy is still the bright spot when it comes to the base roster because he is a character that I do use and I am dedicated to him. And I've always said, if push comes to shove, if things don't work out the way that I hope for when it comes to Tekken 8 and these characters being revealed, Uncle Leroy will be my absolute main character if Tekken 8 is released without Eddie Gordo. But here in Tekken 8, now Leroy Smith always had an interesting backstory, even though Tekken 7 did a bad job at telling it. His backstory was there and it was very interesting. There was a lot of things that were going on with Leroy Smith. His interactions with characters really had people wondering, like, what's going on with this character? Why does he have so many interactions with a lot of these characters such as Feng Wei, Heihachi, and Law, and maybe a couple of other characters he had interactions with. But the problem is that Tekken 7 just did not tell his full story. It did not tell his backstory from a cinematic standpoint. But in Tekken 8, his overall story is starting to come to the light, and I'm starting to understand it piece by piece what's going on with Leroy Smith. I've been telling people Leroy Smith is kind of like Tekken's version of the Grand Master. I think Leroy Smith is honestly the Grand Master when it comes to Tekken. When someone comes across him, he always seems to have the answer for his opponent. So that's Grand Master status to me. I don't want nobody to bend that out of proportion, but that's just how I feel when it comes to Leroy Smith. Is he boss level? He could be, but you know what I'm saying? If it came down to it when it comes to the future of Tekken, yeah, Leroy Smith could be boss level. I could actually see Leroy leading an organization or some shit like that. So yeah, he does have that boss level effect to him. But here in this video, we are going to talk about the potential direction when it comes to Uncle Leroy Smith. And I'm also going to put maybe a prediction or two in there as well, because what's going on with Leroy is very interesting when it comes to his connection with the Mishimas and a lot of things that I've also found out the reason why he is a part of Tekken as we speak right now. So we are going to get into it, and we're going to start by, I'm going to read off of his bio of Tekken 8, and then I'm going to go from there. And then what I want people to understand is the direction when it comes to Leroy Smith's story and the impact that he is going to have on certain characters when it comes to the story. So we're going to start by reading his bio. It goes, Leroy Smith, a master of Wing Chun who liberates New York from the rule of gangster and is praised as a hero. Learning that the Mishima Zaibatsu was behind the large-scale gang conflict half a century ago, Leroy participates in the King of Iron Fist tournament in order to crush the Mishima Zaibatsu. At the moment, Heihachi Mishima, the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, goes missing, and the Mishima Zaibatsu is subjugated by the G Company, who takes advantage of this opportunity. However, G Company continued to invade after that, and the world was about to be ruled by force by G Company. Leroy learns that Heihachi's son, Kazuya Mishima, is the leader of the company G, and in order to restore his peaceful life, Uncle Leroy stands up again with his dog Sugar. So that's Leroy Smith's bio when it comes to Tekken 8. Actually, what they did, they kind of combined his bio with Tekken 7 into Tekken 8, which is a good thing because it helps me explain what's all going on with Leroy's overall story. So, you got to go back to Tekken 7 and remember when Leroy Smith was first revealed. Leroy Smith had a special interaction with three characters, Law, Lei, and Feng Wei. Now, seeing what's going on in Feng Wei's trailer, that there's a special interaction between Feng Wei and Leroy in Tekken 8, clearly Leroy's trailer, what happened in that trailer was clearly canon because Leroy and Feng Wei had faced off, and clearly it showed Leroy Smith defeating Feng Wei. So clearly that whole trailer was canon. Leroy had defeated those three characters when it came to Tekken 7. Now, flash forward to Tekken 8. Now, it looks like Feng Wei and Leroy are probably going to cross paths again. But I think the way that they're going to have it is that Leroy is clearly on the side of Jin Kazama. There is going to be some type of interaction between he and Jin, kind of like what they did with Tekken Bloodline. What they'll probably do is Leroy might show him a couple of philosophies when it comes to Wing Chun, and Jin is going to incorporate that and to get himself ready for the final battle with Kazuya. That's one of my predictions. But also too, if you really think deep into this, let's just say like a good 30 years ago, remember Tekken 3 was like 20 years later after Tekken 2. Heihachi Mishima was not in charge of the Mishima Saibatsu at that time. Remember, Kazuya had defeated Heihachi after Tekken 1 and took briefly control of the Mishima Zaibatsu in Tekken 2 before Heihachi got it back. Now, when that all was happening, that's when Leroy Smith was out here, you know, doing what he was doing when it came to, you know, fighting gangs and doing all that shit, and him finding out it was the Mishima Zaibatsu. Much like Eddie Gordo, pretty much. Now, here's what I'm trying to say. In Tekken 7, he also had a special interaction with Heihachi, where he basically says Heihachi is the one responsible for all of this, but Leroy is just really clearly saying that because Heihachi was that current leader of the Mishima Saibatsu. All of those years ago, Heihachi was not in charge of the Saibatsu, as everyone know. Just go back to the first 2 Tekken games and you'll see what happened. Heihachi was not in charge around that time. Kazuya was. So this could be one of those type of twisted fate type of plots. Y'all feel what I'm saying? When it comes to Leroy Smith going after G Company. Because really, he thinks that Heihachi was the reason that everything was going on, but really he wasn't, because Heihachi was not in charge at that time. Now in Tekken 8, you got Kazuya in charge of pretty much everything. There's a possibility if Leroy Smith and Kazuya might bump heads. Now Leroy Smith is actually in front of the guy that actually caused all that shit to go down, which was Kazuya, because we already know Kazuya was wreaking chaos all around the world at that time. And if you want proof, just go to Eddie Gordo's ending. Eddie Gordo's Tekken 3 ending. That's the proof right there. Like, Kazuya was fucking up lives at that time. And I'm going to sit here and say, hypothetically, Leroy Smith was feeling the wrath of Kazuya at that time rather than Heihachi. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So I'm looking for a plot twist when it comes to Tekken 8, when it comes to Leroy Smith and Kazuya Mishima. Because we already know Leroy and Feng Wei, there's going to have to be some type of story there between them two. We've already seen the interaction. Now, my question is, who wins that battle? Does Feng Wei get his revenge, or does Leroy win again? And if Leroy wins again, the advantage obviously goes to Jin Kazama, right? So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I feel like Leroy will win again, give the advantage to Jin Kazama. The reason that I feel this way, because Leroy can finally actually get his real revenge on Kazuya rather than it being Heihachi, because Leroy believes that Heihachi was in charge at that time when he was not. And it's like a lot of characters thought Heihachi was in charge at that time and he wasn't. So a lot of people ain't really thinking about that. Maybe it's, you know, we've gotten so far into the Tekken story, people seem to have forgotten all of those years ago, Kazuya was running it. He was running it all those years ago. So this could be an opportunity for a real explosive plot twist. And while we're on the subject about winning and losing battles when it comes to the story and things being canon, there's just something I just thought about. Like, Feng Wei is a fucking loser. Like, as much as Harada try to prop this character up and push this character is portrayed as some type of kung fu god or whatever. This character is a fucking loser. Like, for real. He got beat by Lei Wulong, he got beat by martial law, and he got beat by Uncle Leroy. This character is a loser. He cheap as fuck, but he's a fucking loser. But anyway, as I said earlier, Uncle Leroy, you know, he's starting to seem like the Grand Master of Tekken. So I kind of feel like Jin Kazama is either gonna go to him for answers, or Jin Kazama is going to stumble upon him and he's going to find the answers that he's looking for to defeat his father, Kazuya Mishima. And like I said, this battle between Leroy and Feng Wei, this is going to be some epic proportions. I think this will really will really shift the balance of power between Jin and Kazuya depending on who wins. But I got Leroy in this, and the reason for it is because, you know, Leroy got the soul. He got the soul, and right now Feng Wei's intentions are like, I don't know. His intentions are not pure. So if Feng Wei actually gets his revenge and Kazuya gets the advantage, what are they gonna do? The only thing that I can think of, they would have to have Feng Wei turn on Kazuya, and we all know that is not going to happen to a precious Mishima. So Leroy wins this battle. I just don't see Feng Wei beating Leroy because I don't see Bandai Namco taking that chance with Feng Wei turning on a Mishima. I just don't see them doing that. I really don't. This is one of the reasons why I say the character episodes are going to be so exciting, because you know these two characters, one of their endings, especially Feng Wei's, these two characters are going to have an interaction in their character episodes. It just has to be. It's already being set up that way. So the character episodes, these two characters, I'm definitely looking forward to the character episodes between Feng Wei and Leroy. That's going to be some epic ass shit right there. So when it comes to his direction, that's how I feel about Uncle Leroy. Leroy is clearly a character that is going to be sought after by the likes of Jin Kazama and maybe a couple of other characters to find the answers to grow their skill. And one thing about Uncle Leroy also, you know, before Tekken 8 got revealed, you know, there was always that talk that Lydia was going to have a big part of the story, Fakum Ron was going to have a big part of the story. Well, by the way that it's looking, Leroy has got that part. Leroy has got a huge part in this story because of his connection with Feng Wei, and now we know that Feng Wei is clearly going to be on Team Kazuya. There's no way around it. It's gonna happen. So Leroy is definitely gonna have a big part, and he's gonna have something to say about this outcome when it comes to Jin Kazama and Kazuya Mishima. And another thing too, I want to put something out there, because, you know, every now and then it always comes up that people will be like, well, Leroy is just a Wang Jin Ray or some shit like that. And, you know, sometimes I'll be like, nah, no, he's not. Leroy is pretty much original. But then again, like I said, Leroy clearly has ties to a great master. Why can't that great master be Wang Jin Ray? Maybe Leroy was trained by Wang. You feel what I'm saying? You know, it's just to put something out there. You know, that's just hypothetical. But it does make sense how Leroy is basically able to get around so well. Maybe he was trained by the likes of Wang, and now here he is stepping in Wang's place to be the Grand Master. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just one of those things I just want to put out there, because you know how the Tekken story is. The Tekken story will give us some good plot twists, and I'm looking for one here in Tekken 8. Like I said, that's how I feel about Uncle Leroy's direction right now. He is an extremely important part when it comes to this Tekken 8 story. I think Leroy is also going to get a lot of cinematic time when it comes to the Tekken 8 story, even though they didn't show it. I think we're going to see Leroy a lot in the cinematic story mode. And like I said before too, I'm waiting to see his character episode, because that's one thing we did not see in Tekken 7. We did not see no cinematic nothing of Leroy. We did not see it. Now we're going to get to see Leroy in cinematic action, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see Uncle Leroy in cinematic action. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. What do y'all think about Uncle Leroy's direction? And you know what? Go ahead and tell me, who do y'all think is going to win this battle? Feng Wei or Leroy? Go ahead and tell me that in the comment section below. We can get a conversation started. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to your boy for the hottest Tekken 8 and Tekken 7 action and content on the internet, period. I will get back at you in the next video. God bless. Stay safe. I am out. Get ready for the next battle. Peace.